Honestly, what I thought it was going to be was a chance to get classes taken care of out of, in a cool place. And cool.
I thought study abroad was coming to a different country to experience life here and do school things at the same time.
I love Lima, honestly. It's like a coastal city, that's where I grew up. Like, I feel a very strong connection with it. And to be honest with you, out of all the places I've seen in Peru so far, Lima could be the one city we've been to where I could live, like actually live. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of cultural differences in Lima. Like they walk everywhere, and the honking and the driving and like all of that sort of stuff. And I noticed small differences, but it was still a city, like, so it didn't seem like extraordinarily foreign.
I walked out and I was like, wow, it looks like China. And then I was like, but it's not China. And then I was like, oh my God, we're in a different country. And then I would like hit people and be like, oh my God, we're in a different country. It was really surreal. It was more than I could expect and imagine. It was, I don't know, it was really cool learning about the history and not just being there and to see it. It made me really appreciate like Incan culture because I think they're really smart.
Here in Cusco, walking around the Plaza de Armas, you just get there and you take a breath and you're like, oh my gosh, and you just look around and it's just so beautiful and it doesn't look real. That's the thing, like you look at it and you're there, but it doesn't feel like you're there.
Cusco was more what I pictured Peru as, like with like colorful houses and mountains and clouds and blue sky and stuff.
Honestly, when I heard we were service learning, I thought it was going to be more of like, it's okay for us to just sit back and observe. And then the more you guys talked about it, the more I realized that that's not all we're here to do. We're here to service and learn at the same time. And in the first clinic I was in, it was definitely more of observing, and that was really cool. But I also felt really useless. And then moving to the second, more rural clinic, where I wasn't doing stuff nearly as cool or seeing stuff nearly as cool, I felt a lot more useful just running papers, and I felt like I actually helped in a little way.
Volunteering is not always what you think volunteering means. Volunteering is not about you. It's not about what you think you should be doing. It's about what people need. And a lot of times, I think we know what people need, and that's not a fault. That's us trying to be generous. But in order to truly be like selfless and volunteer, like you're helping them in the way that they need to be helped. So it was a challenge, and it was a trial every day, in so many different ways. Like what we had to do there was hard, what we had to see there was hard, speaking was hard, going every day was hard sometimes. Like it was hard because it was uncomfortable, but I think growth comes from outside of your comfort zone, and so that's why I think it was so pivotal, because one, I realized that, and two, like I think that's where a lot of my growth like took place.
I worked in a clinic in a very poor side of town, and so one thing that I'll definitely take back and use is to be culturally competent, because you never know who you're going to run across.
And I guess in America, before you go anywhere else in the country, like on an abroad trip, you don't think about the fact that people don't brush their teeth every day because they literally don't have toothpaste or toothbrushes. But they don't have that stuff. So I think it's important to see that other countries don't have it. So you have to bring it, or you have to show them how to get it.
To think that I wasn't ignorant before coming, but I like to think now even more that I'm definitely not nearly as ignorant as I was. I don't know, and I'm just so much more comfortable in places that normally would have made me uncomfortable. Like being around people who didn't speak my language would have made me so uncomfortable before, and it's not anymore. And then being in someone else's home would have made me so uncomfortable, and that's not what it's like anymore. And even like being in the clinics, like the first day I was super uncomfortable. And I didn't think that I would ever get used to being somewhere like that, just with the language barrier, with like the new just surroundings in general.
Well, I'm really glad I took the opportunity to come here. This really made me open up my eyes and really focus on what I really want to accomplish, as far as educational-wise and career-wise. And it's helped me grow, to take charge of what I really want to do and really, take it serious. Because I know I have a long road ahead of me. I'm pretty sure everybody does. But, with me, I'm really going to take it to heart and do what I set out to do.
Study abroad has really opened up my mind and have maybe developed new perspectives. It's very different from the States, and there's some things that I'll never forget in a good way, because it's always nice seeing differences and you can really grow from it.
I will probably use every single thing I learned when I get back. It changes you, and you don't even know it until the last few days, and you're sitting in class and well, that's not right, because, and then you have this elaborate answer and you're like, that just came from me? How did I know that?
I feel like I've changed a lot, and all for the better. I've learned to take initiative and see opportunity where it is. I've learned to love challenge.
It's showed me a lot about being materialistic and how I don't want to be materialistic anymore. I think being here and seeing that, how people live and how people live, especially in the rural areas, and they're able to survive on such little. And I feel like I don't need much now to do what I need to do in life.
I feel like when I go home, it's gonna be a completely new world, almost. I'm gonna get there and forget how I lived before. I hope that I take home with me cultural humility, which was a class thing, but it was also a big like study abroad thing. Nobody is one thing, everybody is this big thing. Like before, I thought the world was so big, and I feel like this almost made it smaller because now I've seen 2 places instead of just one. So like people aren't that different from people everywhere.
It's just so much bigger than us, and I think that is one of the biggest lessons I learned here. This was so humbling, and to see that like people live a different way, and like what we might think of that, like if we might think that that is like a lesser of a way to live, but to them they see it as success, you know?
I think the biggest topic of this whole trip is cultural competency. I think that's extremely important in healthcare, and taking that back to the nursing program, working in clinical sites, and taking it back to my future career is going to be enormous. It's going to help me be the best nurse I can be.